Okay, my guest is Dr. Truott, and I've just had to switch recordings. We do 30-minute segments up on YouTube. Folks, you can go to Free American on YouTube and watch me do the show. Go ahead.
So anyway, I had on my blog, I had a message to call this number and talk to this woman, so I did. And she explained she's a Libyan national going to school, getting education for, again, a special brand of social work. And she just basically told me all about how the women in Libya are so, so liberated in a very powerful way. She said that if I can just tell the women of America, if America could have the same promotional principles of women as co-equals, but not sex symbols. She said that's the biggest thing about Gaddafi in Libya is the way women are basically allowed to make the most of themselves. And she was very emotional about it. She said how much she and so many of the women of Libya loved the changes that Gaddafi brought in, and how even the Muslim neighbors hated Gaddafi because of how he promoted women. I mean, made women empowered. But you don't see any of that in the mainstream media. You don't see any of those segments. It just they've effectively criminalized and demonized Gaddafi. Again, through the propaganda.
Let me ask you about something. I had a film linked on one of my pages that was made in the 50s about Mohammed, and they didn't feature Mohammed. They didn't put an actor on. They used I think Anthony Quinn and some people like that were involved. And according to the story, the Muslims were driven out of the area that they were in, because but they were friends with Christians, and Mohammed told them to go to Ethiopia because that was a Christian country and a Christian king, and they'd be safe there. And then they had people that were obviously Ottomans or Edomites that were in charge of the statues of the gods. The Mecca was filled with gods created by these Edomites.
Exactly.
And they referred to the people that Mohammed had sent down there before the king. They referred to them as religious rebels. But he asked them, well, what do you think about Christ? And the only difference between the Muslims and the Christians was they thought Christ was a good man and a prophet, and they respected him, and the whole Talmudic followers, try to tell you Jesus is burning and boiling, simmering in hell, So the Edomites, the Jews, the Talmudists, they're really the Antichrist religion. And today, with the 9/11, they have tried to demonize the Muslims to get us to go to war. We want to go bomb Iran now. We want to go bomb all these Muslims out. We want to wipe all these Muslims out. And some people put up a pretty good information. Yes, they consider us infidels, and they think it's okay to kill us. But where did if Muhammad was illiterate, who wrote this piece of shit they call the Quran?
Well, that's a whole other subject. Let's get the nutshell.
We may have to do another day.
Let's understand first of all that Ishmael again was another son of Abraham through Sarah's handmaid. Okay, we see that Ishmael became the Arab nations. That's the lineage of Ishmael, the Arabs. We see also in both Genesis as well as the book of Jubilees that Esau married two daughters of Ishmael, became their wives. Now we trace this lineage back primarily to the so-called House of Saud. Look at these sheiks of Saud versus like a Muammar Gaddafi's bloodline. Okay, you can see the prominent nose, the dark facial features. They are much different in their facial features than the typical Arab. Okay, the House of Saud and the House of Bush is Edomite. Okay, that's why they're so connected in their oil production. Okay, so we also see from the Vatican, the archive history, we have this Jesuit priest, Antonio Rivera, who comes and he's doing, again, work in the Vatican archives and uncovers documentation that, again, the Edomite Roman Catholic popes to fight against the traditional Orthodox Christian kings of the Anglo-Saxons. They come up on a plan to create a new religion. They produce and create the Quran out of the Vatican. They finance with gold and silver transfers this man named Muhammad. They create the Islamic religion. They control it from the Vatican. They create again a conflict. They pit Christianity against Islam, and they do so to weaken both sides so they can again fill the void. That's been their modus operandi since the days of Esau. Very, very, you got to take your hat off to these plotters. These, by means of deception, thou shalt wage war. They've been doing it since the days of Esau, when he recruited 4,000 mercenary warriors to fight against Israel, the 12 tribes. I mean, this is amazing, absolutely amazing history. Now you go back to Mecca, the pilgrimage to Mecca. You see the pictures of Mecca. They walk clockwise around the cube, the black cube. The Edomite religion is Kabbalah. Talmudism is Kabbalah. Kabbalah means the cube. It is the religion, absolutely, the religion of Satan.
And that's what most of your black magicians study. Crowley,
Exactly.
for instance, they study the Kabbalah. This is Edomite religion. And you know, now wait a minute. Let me point out something here. You know, I think God puts us in this body, gives us amnesia, puts a little bit of His divinity in it. We call the soul, so we've got direct connection with the deity. And magic, the study of magic, and I spelled it the way Crowley did, Magick, is really simply how to get in touch with this divinity, you know, this knowledge, this power. And if you can find that, you can find the shamans, the witch doctors on every continent, all over Earth. And are all these people bad people? Are all they studying black magic? No, I think the witch and the Christian that are praying or casting a spell are really tapping into that same deity. And then we've got free will, so they have the choice of whether they want to use this power, this information, for good or evil. And most of the organized religions, including the Catholic Church and the whole Judaic religions and Muslim religions too, are about dogma, getting you to believe something that ain't necessarily true, that you can't prove, and to get you to do evil.
Right. Yeah, you know, if you look at the origins of the cube, what the Kabbalah is, the so-called tracing board, you see the origins then of the B'nai B'rith, the Freemasonic mystery schools, right? You see the 33rd degree, the angles. The angles of the 33rd degree form the pentagram or pentacles. You see, this is the root of all black magic spells. And 33rd degree Masons, the top level of Benai Bris, you don't become a 33rd degree unless you have committed and worked with animal and human sacrifice. Okay? So you got to remember that goes back into the Freemasonic halls. It's all controlled by Edomite Kabbalah masters. That's the origins of it, okay? Even though, there's people proclaiming to be Christians that are 33rd degree Masons, they are just wolves in sheep's clothing. That ultimately the Benai Bris, the top level, the top of the pyramid, is really the Edomite so-called self-styled Jews, what they call themselves. The Talmudic black magicians. I don't know if you happened to read that post I did on my blog about the September 11th memorial. Did you read that, Clay?
No, sir, I didn't.
I would advise you to go there and see what's really happened since September 11th of last year. The Holocaust Museum, that's the architecture there that's been put in, the symbolism of those two reflecting pools, those Kabbalah cubes, okay?
Oh, I did glance at that. I didn't do it totally, but.
Oh man, I tell you, you've got to get a handle on that. Everything about it is so symbolic. Let me just, in the time we have left, let me just give you, again, symbols mean everything to these people. Dates, times, the 12 houses of the zodiac. It's all an extension of Kabbalah. Okay, so they do a lot with numerology. They do a lot with numbers are sacred to them. They announced 5,201 entries. Like the Kabbalah, the gematria of the Kabbalah, you add those numbers together, it comes to the number 8. The number 8 is very sacred to them, and they have the wheel of the year. The 8-pointed star of Babylon is the star of a mark of Cain, basically, the double cross, right? So the 8-pointed star is very symbolically powerful to them. You have 8 finalists. They had 5,201 plans submitted. They say that they chose 8 finalists. The final winning plan was written by a guy named Michael Arad, who's an Israeli citizen who's very close friends with the sons and family of Benjamin Netanyahu. All right? We see this coming up. His Reflecting Absence is the name of it. In Edomite newspapers and periodicals, we read interviews with Michael Arad as to how he got his inspiration for the design. He basically says it's the Jewish tradition, well again I use the Edomite tradition of the river Lethe, L-E-T-H-E, Lethe. And then he followed that into the ancient Greek text of the mythical river Lethe, the plains of Lethe. We're talking about the river Styx. We're talking about basically the portals of hell, Clay. This thing is absolutely a dark, black, magic ritual temple. And it's, again, going into the human, it's affecting the human psyche of not only America, but the world. There's been over 1 million visitors to this place. There's a black magic spell being placed upon it, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Christians would better wake up to this fact, and we better understand that this has got some very, very evil, powerful black magic attached to it. Absolutely affecting the souls of man.
That's interesting. Do you know who Ted Pike is?
Yes.
Ted Pike's wife just died. And he says they were under it was a clear biblical example of satanic mind control.
It's all there in my expose on this. The river Lethe is the satanic means to go into what's called the cave of hypnos, which is basically the cave of hypnos is mass mind control hypnosis. It's a very real power, a very real spell, keeping people from remembering, keeping their DNA from becoming activated to truth. Oh yes, this is a very dark temple, very dark and black spell. It's they put two massive devil's tridents, pitchforks. I explain what that means. You know, they fashioned two pitchforks, two tridents out of beams of the South Tower. They're exactly 66 feet in length. The symbolism all comes into a 666 symbology. I mean to tell you, you know, if whoever made that memorial wanted to put two Christian crosses or three crosses, you know, to represent the crucifixion, there'd be a massive protest from the Edomite controllers. You can't have a Christian symbol going into this international memorial. There'd be outcry, be screaming, but then they allow the most important symbol of satanic authority to be placed with no problem. Where's the Christian protesting that? Nothing. No, nobody's even talking about this, Clay.
It's that brings me kind of to my other question here. What do we do here? I mean, I've been trying to wake people up. You've been trying to wake people up. We've been doing a radio show. I've written books about it. My fiction books are about what will happen in the future, and I'm pretty good at telling people what's going to happen in the future, because everything I've been reporting on 10 years ago, they're talking about on CNN now. It's so what do we do? I mean, I'm being demonized. I'm trying to sell books. I can't sell any books. Nobody's ordering. You know, I don't know if people are listening. I sent an email out to something like 300 people telling them, look, if you don't get involved here, then you're as much a problem as anything we're talking about here. If you're not willing to do something, if you want to be, just stay below the radar. If you want to stay below the radar and let whatever idea, consensus they put up that leads to your enslavement, you know, if you're not willing to do something, if you're not willing to back people like you and I and help at this, we're done for. We're done for. Right now, today, folks, I'm going to tell you, right now, my motorcycle's in the shop. I paid for it in advance. I try not to owe anybody money. I try to keep the. I paid for it in advance, $200 worth of parts and labor, and they got into it and found something else wrong with it. So now my motorcycle is torn down, and I'm $200 short of having the money to get it out of the shop and get it fixed. It's the only transportation I've got. My truck blew up. You know, I've got a trailer that I'm living in. I could go anywhere in the world, and I can't get any help. I can't get any backing. And I don't know if people are not listening to the show. I don't know if they don't. If everybody in the world is so broke they can afford a $25 donation or to buy a $25 book. But frankly, you know, I'm getting real tired of this, living from day to day, staying on the edge all the time, and you know, I've been doing that for 7 years. I mean, this is totally different for me, True. I mean, I've always had my own businesses. I've always run my own businesses. I've always had money in the bank. I've always been, my businesses have all worked until suddenly, you know, the attacks intensified after 9/11. They just, I referred to 9/11 as an exaggerated case of Jewish lightning, and nothing's quite been the same since. And this, I was reading what Ted Pike is saying, is that you know, there was he called it a demonic takeover. Suddenly her penmanship and writing skills deteriorated. Her ADD started to cause difficulties in organizing written thoughts. She wrote incomplete, and often rambling sentences. But during the second attack of her incurable sickness, she wrote a 7-page suicide letter in perfect penmanship, uncorrected, short, clear sentences of which she was not capable. And it described her damning transgressions, all imagined are ridiculous. You know, and her subsequent duty was to kill herself. This was automatic writing and could not have come from my wife's brain. What you know, this is and I was just talking to Pastor Jake Wade, Dr. Jake Wade, you know, about this really being a war of principalities.
Oh, it is. That's the whole thing. And so you ask, what can we do? Well, I can just say from my standpoint, do the best you can. You know, it's not a matter of getting a lot of donations to me. I know it's important to make enough to be able to put food on the table. You got to be able to survive. And so, yeah, but you know, ultimately it is about truth. I don't care what people really say about me until they really get in and start digging and find out. I just challenge people that I talk to, both on the phone and through my blog. Just do your own homework, your own research. As a Christian, you know, we've been dumbed down in so many ways as a culture, Clay. We've got sports teams that we sit back on the sidelines and watch. We watch the elections. We watch our political heroes, you know, being made or broken in the area of public opinion through the media. Nothing ever changes. Nothing ever makes a difference. The rhetoric from the right to the left, back and forth, it's all the same people controlling the same psyche. You got to understand all of this. It's just a system that's flat out busted, broken completely. The biggest, the fastest growing church, if you want to call it that, the fastest growing religion is that of organized neo-paganism, of Wicca, of casting spells, for heaven's sake, thanks to Harry Potter phenomena and others. I mean, just we've got away from the core Christian principles. We just flat out have done that as a nation. So they can actually come and build this black temple at ground zero and have no Christians even that I can see aware of what's going on at all. I'm telling you, it's forced down and 10 with 10 seconds left, man. We've got to quit being fans of Jesus. There's so many Christians that say they believe in Christ, but they're fans only. You got to come and get in the game. You got to come down here and start doing some legwork. You got to start again becoming active in this message of truth. That's my message. Quit being a spectator. Quit being a fan. Get down and get in the game and start making passes. You know, start blocking. You know, start helping, and not be paralyzed by fear. You know, Clay, so much of the alternative media is hyping fear. The world's going to end in 2012. Get all of your food storage, or get all your survival skills. Not bad ideas, but you know, the fear-based rhetoric is absence of the faith in Jesus Christ. You don't think he can take care of you?
Everybody asked me after my accident, "Aren't you afraid to ride now, Clay?" And my answer was, "You ever trip? You afraid to walk?" No, I'm not afraid to ride. And I wasn't supposed to live. I you know, according to the ambulance drivers that picked me up, no way I could make it. I was injured too badly to make it. But didn't quite turn out to be true, did it? And there has to be a reason, man. There has to be a reason I was able to survive the accident and 3 months of heavy drugging in the hospital. And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, True, if it wasn't that I thought God wanted me to do this.
Yeah, so we just have to do the best we can. Maybe this broadcast can affect one person to get off the sidelines, not be a fan any longer, get involved. Again, we just challenge you to go read the information. My website is true.ott.com. Read the Righteous Blood series, starting with Part 1. Learn who really, Part 1 explains who true Israel is, what the New Jerusalem is. It's America. And any place that the Zion is a collection of Christians together to fight against Edom. That's what Zion is. And then true Israel, Zionism, is again backing Jesus Christ to the max.
All right, I've got a caller on from the 512 area code from that's the Austin area. Hello, who do we have, Texan?
This is your fellow mate. I got to say amen. I heard most of this show, and your guest is absolutely right. And this is Dr. Jake Wade saying, I do listen, and I am supporting Clay Douglas, just so you know.
Jake, I appreciate that, and your friend hasn't called me back, so I'd like to have you up on my show before him. He can't do it this week. He's kind of jammed up, and I have Monday, January 15th open. If you'd like to do that, I'll be glad to put you down for that.
I can do a very good follow-up to what you did today. All I wanted to do was say amen over and over again.
Well, I sure appreciate that, and Jake is the man that I was talking to when I said I think we're in a spiritual battle here. I mean, the attacks on me. One of my friends who's still trying to help me. Her name's Sarah, and she tried to send me money, and Western Union wouldn't send it to me, wouldn't let me have it because they said I was on a government watch list. She called me back and kind of chuckling and said, well, Clay, if it's any consolation to you, you're not just paranoid. They said, do you know Clay Douglas? She said, for 40 years. Yeah, why? Oh, well, he's on a government watch list, and we had to check with you, which is, of course, why I don't fly anymore. But it's pretty strange out here. Jake, I'll put you down for Monday. And folks,
yes, sir.
Look, I need some donations to do. You know, for $20, a $20 donation, you can read Mystery Babylon, the New World Order Unveiled. It's more than...
Do they know what that is? That is a marvelous history of where we've gotten today. All the schools ought to have it.
See, I think I've got something written by you that says, I've read this, it's dynamite, literally. The presentation is well documented and needing to be published. A warning, make sure you make many copies, massively circulated before going very public. The bullseye on your back will multiply in magnitude. Satan and his generals will not be pleased. And you know what's interesting? Guys, I came out with Mystery Babylon, and instantly, in the biker community, I was suddenly kicked out of every kind of run, every kind of bar that you can think of. I was kicked out of bars I hadn't been in before.
1 Peter 4 says expect that. If you dedicate, as I said, if you dedicate to being Christ-like and getting into battle, you're going to get ostracized. That's a given.
Pretty interesting. Jake Wade, thank you for calling. And True, I appreciate all the help. I appreciate anything that you're going to do in the future. I appreciate the information.